first, let's address posture from the ground up, okay? So if you're weak in the feet, your ankles will be weak, right? If you're lacking that stability to keep your ankles in alignment with your other joints all the way up, then you're going to have problems there. Things like if you don't have very wide boxed footwear, we tend to have that inward angled look on your feet. That is also going to make your feet weaker and turn off that mind to muscle connection in how to flex your foot. Something I coach all of my clients is something called the tripod. Your tripod is when you brace your big toe, your little toe, and the back of your heel. This way of engaging your feet is going to light up your arch, and it will put your ankle into a proper position, making you more stable, making then that knee more stable, and then your hips more stable, and then your chest and your shoulders and so on all the way up. So that's why we like to focus from the ground up. Obviously, some issues are caused from other problems, but if we start by the feet, we can generally find power leaks, areas of opportunity, things like that. A lot of the times people come to me with hip problems or knee problems. Generally, when it's a knee, I'm going to look at the joint above and below. So either your hip or your ankle. If it's the hip, I'm going to look at the knee, I'm going to look at your shoulders. Why? Because a hip injury or a knee injury isn't just that, okay? Like I said, all of your joints should be stacked. All of your joints should be connected in some way.
Here we're going to look at an example of how that tripod can really light up that arch. And you can see the difference between flexed here in this squat, how my ankles and my joints are all engaged, versus when I don't have that tripod and my ankles cave, meaning my knees will cave and my hips have to do a lot more.
That I'll mention is that anterior pelvic tilt. So if you have your pelvis in line and you're stacked, so your rib cage and your hips are stacked and you're straight, that is good posture, right? You don't want to be too rigid because your spine naturally has a bit of a curve, but we want to avoid those really exposed, very prominent curves, right? So we want to remain stacked. Now, a lot of the time, we will have an anterior pelvic tilt, which means the top of your pelvis is tilted forward. And that is going to give you that curvature of the back. What that is doing is going to be pulling on that low back, and it's going to make your back up here have to work harder to try and stabilize. So again, you'll probably be more likely to fall forward into that position. We see this a lot with women who wear heels. We see this a lot in office working as well. One way that I like to practice getting that anterior pelvic tilt and learning how to properly brace your core, which we will get into deeper as long as you keep following along, is bracing. But before we get into the brace, we're gonna just look at the tilt. So you can see I can fit my hand under. That is because of that anterior pelvic tilt. Now, I can bring my shoulders back by engaging those muscles, and I can tip my pelvis up and bring my rib cage down. So I'm kind of bringing them together. Then I can't actually physically get my hand under, okay? Now, how do I train this? You can do reps. Again, you want that mind to muscle connection, so you're wanting to do reps. So you're going to, and this is the only time I'll really tell you to hyper extend in that low back, is you're going to tilt extra, working those muscles to pull up, and then you're gonna tuck down. Now, if you're noticing, when you tuck in, that A, your shoulders are lifting, or B, your booty is coming up, that means you're using your butt a little bit too much. You wanna engage those lower abdominal and those pelvic floor muscles instead. Okay, so you're just gonna lift up and tuck back down. Try and maintain a nice neutral spine. Go very slow. And the more reps and the more often you do this throughout the day, the stronger those muscles will get. Obviously, you do have to work on some mobility as well, but keep following along and we'll get into those a little bit deeper as well. Another postural thing that I like to look at and I want you to consider is the alignment of your earlobe and your shoulder. Now, a lot of us, when we are sat at our desk for long hours of the day, driving with long commutes, we round forward quite a bit, right? When we're rounding forward, our shoulder blade sticks out. That's giving instability through the shoulder joint itself. But also, when our shoulders round forward, our body naturally likes to have our earlobe and our shoulder in line with each other. So when we are rounding forward, our head tends to come forward with that head forward posture, or text neck, that some people would call it. Things like shoulder impingement, tension headaches, lower back problems, because obviously if we're rounding forward, it's going to eventually lower all the way down. And the dreaded old fupa area. Now, when I have improper posture and I'm rounded out, I am way more fluffy. Yes, do I have a belly? Of course I do. We all do. But when I am rounded and I have an anterior pelvic tilt, that pooch is more poochy than it needs to be. But if I'm standing upright, my head is back and my pelvis is tucked, I can flatten that quite a bit and I'm going to feel a lot more confident. Also, with proper posture, you're going to lift that chest up, you're going to be more open, you're going to walk with a proud, confident demeanor. Now back to that ear and shoulder alignment. So if you can see how I'm forward and my ear is forward. Now if I pull that shoulder back by engaging my muscles in my back and up in here, so my rhomboids and my lats, I'm going to pull it back, but then I'm going to tuck my chin out if I'm going to give myself a double chin, and you might get one. Now, we're gonna set back and I'm gonna bring my head back, and you can see how that ear is in line with that shoulder. And when I drop, I'm naturally going to be more comfortable and it's going to be finding that location again.
I really hope you found this first part of the posture series helpful. Starting from the ground up is going to make it a lot easier for us to find any area of opportunity so that we can address your movement, address your pain, and address your confidence. Be sure to keep following along because we are going to be tackling mobility, exercises, and more chronic problems that are going to be caused by improper posture.